G'day everyone, Blake here with another video, and for today's video I just wanted to respond to a couple of comments that I get on my full fish room tours. Now last week I did release my most recent full fish room tour, and as is always the case, I do tend to get questions around, oh, why is there algae on the glass? You know, there's a bit of muck and debris on the substrate. Can't you keep your aquariums clean? Are you lazy? Or I'm surprised that somebody who's successfully breeding so many fish or having so many healthy fish in a fish room is keeping their aquariums in such an untidy, disgraceful manner, I guess. And this is definitely deliberate, so I wanted to clear up why today you might want to leave that Mulm in your aquarium. We'll run through some of the benefits and I will touch on some of the downsides. So let's jump straight into the video. Okay, so the very first thing to understand is the principle between what I'm trying to achieve in this room. And that is to cultivate healthy ecosystems. I'm not trying to create living pieces of art. I'm not trying to replicate ADA aquariums like Green Aqua, which are pristine and have no algae at all. I'm trying to breed fish. I'm trying to keep fish happy and healthy. As well as that, I'm more than happy to let mulm and debris accumulate on the substrate because this is going to help feed my fish. Now, do I expect my fish to go around and eat their own waste? Not really. But this debris and mulm and waste, this feeds small little critters like copepods, detritus worms, infusoria, and other critters which are going to head up a food chain until maybe a baby fry is able to eat a little bit daphnia or a little seed shrimp or something like that. So when harboring this ecosystem, we do have to consider the smallest inhabitants up to the biggest, which is generally our fish. And for that, I definitely need some sort of food source for these little critters, as well as for beneficial bacteria. That's right, this fish waste is going to help to feed our beneficial bacteria, which is going to give us a nice strong cycle and help us to break down the ammonia produced through our fish into nitrite and nitrate. So for those reasons, I find that it's incredibly beneficial, and I'm actually really happy when I see that the result of not siphoning that sand to a pristine white granule has led to maybe a little seed shrimp or a copepod darting around my aquarium, which tells me that, you know, if I don't feed one day here or there, my fish are still getting a lot of those natural foods, and for me that really enhances their diet as well. Now, another reason why I'm happy to leave my aquariums in the conditions they are is because as fish keepers, we really only have a few feedback mechanisms to know that our fish are actually happy and healthy. And one of those is definitely breeding. You can see through color and condition and activity. And then the last one is from algae. So for example, algae, that tells me visually that there is some kind of imbalance. With that said, I clean algae from the front, but not the sides or the rear, because I need to be able to see into the aquariums to see the fish. But other than that, the algae is telling me that I need to fix up something around the nutrients or the light, and algae actually helps me to understand what's going on inside the aquarium. If I just went along and scraped it down every single day and never let it build up, I'd never have as strong an understanding of the imbalance that's going on inside the aquarium as I do if I get to visually see things build up and really get a better idea of how out of balance the aquarium is. Now, I think the most recent comment I read was, you know, I don't understand how you're breeding so many fish and have so many healthy and vibrantly colored fish in those conditions. And for me, that is a feedback telling me that the fish are really, really happy with how things are going. So why would I go ahead and change that? I don't know how many rivers you've gone ahead and stomped through lately, but not many of them have crisp white sand, and most of them, as soon as you move your feet in the water, you can no longer see anything in a 2-meter radius. That's because of all the detritus and all that muck and debris that naturally occurs in a lot of the waterways. Now, of course, waterways are at an advantage that they have so many gallons and litres flowing through really quickly, which is why we do have to also keep an eye on water parameters. But the amount of planted aquariums I have around here that don't even register nitrates unless I dose aquarium fertilizer, for me, I'm very, very happy with the water parameters in conjunction with the amount of waste that I have and that I'm allowed to accumulate. Now, if this ever did get out of balance and I did start to register things like ammonia, yeah, I would definitely do a cleanup, and I keep an eye on those things through indicators like, of course, if I see some fish hanging around at the top of the aquarium, some redness in the gills, and other visual indicators like that, then yeah, definitely look into it, and I would have to clean up the aquarium a little bit more, but I've never found that to be the case in all of my years of fish keeping. In actual fact, I even add to the Mulm build-up through addition of things like Indian almond leaves and pods and other botanicals that are going to help to promote this healthy micro ecosystem that I'm trying to create and foster. I believe in keeping natural aquariums, and that includes all the ugly parts of that as well. I don't really believe in sterile aquariums. I don't think they're great for the long-term health of your fish. However, with that said, if I did only keep one aquarium and it was in a living area or somewhere that would be exposed regularly to people who aren't going to be as knowledgeable in the benefits of these accumulations, well, yeah, I would definitely try to keep it a lot more sterile and those sorts of things. But that's just not the case in this room here, which is built for me and for my fish and for function rather than aesthetic. Of course, before any fish room tour, I do scrape down the glass and things like that, which is also going to stir up a little bit of debris. And timing wise, it would just take far too long to let the debris settle down before getting B-roll. So it might also be the case that in the fish room tours, unfortunately, there is a bit of free floating debris from cleaning down the glass or so forth. But that is something that I accept because I promote that way of fish keeping. And the last reason that I accept detritus and Mulm build-up, and I'm not worried about it at all, is because as part of having a fish room with so many fish tanks, I do have to make some decisions based on economy. And that one being the filtration I choose. Now I could run all of these aquariums on canister filters, hang-on back filters, or internal filters which are going to have far greater mechanical filtration properties than the sponge filters that I do choose to use. However, I just wouldn't be able to keep so many aquariums because there's a greater capital cost of purchasing those filters, as well as economical cost of running them and having them plugged in and all those sorts of things. By being able to run 100 filters off one single air pump and one outlet, that to me is far more beneficial than having something that's going to really polish every single piece of uneaten food out of the water column. Sponge filters are really great. I think they in fact culminate that Mulm and debris into one corner of the aquarium for the most part, but they just don't have the same flow and capabilities that other filters do to capture that debris. But for me, the benefits far outweigh the negatives, and as we mentioned, I accept all these sort of natural factors of fish keeping. So that is of course going to impact how clean the aquariums do appear. So in summary, does my acceptance of Mulm, detritus and other build-up stem from laziness? Well, not really. It's an active decision that I've made based on the health of the ecosystem that I'm hoping to keep. It fosters free food and free fertilizer for my plants and fish. I believe that it assists the health and condition of my fish by providing plenty of live free foods and a variety of food options that can supplement their diet. And philosophically, I believe that the presence of small foods like detritus worms, seed shrimp, copepods, and so forth is an indicator to the fish that there are going to be foods available for their fry, and actually promotes them breeding. This is something that I've heard a lot of fish keepers talk about, and it's something that I believe myself. And for those reasons, I also actively feed baby brine shrimp and so forth, even into adult fish tanks, because I believe it's a good trigger to help breeding occur. Overall, I've kept fish tanks in this manner for years and years now. I've bred way too many species of fish to even be able to count, and I've had a lot of success raising fry in the same conditions as well. So I understand that it's probably not the most aesthetically pleasing way to keep fish tanks, and I accept that because these are for my viewing pleasure. However, I also disagree that these conditions mean that the fish are suffering in any way. They wouldn't be as vibrantly colored, as actively breeding, or as happy and healthy as I believe they are if that was the case. So overall, I think keeping natural ecosystems rather than sterile aquariums comes with it one small negative, which is potentially a reduced aesthetic appeal to people not knowledgeable in the hobby, but also combats that with benefits such as free food, free fertilizer, and potentially more breeding. Then for me, they far outweigh the negatives, and that is the decision that I've made to keep my fish tanks in the way that I do. Hopefully this has helped to clear up any confusion around that, or any suspicions that I'm being lazy, or that the fish are worse off because of these conditions. It's surely that any natural body of water which houses these fish in the wild has at least 10 times more detritus and buildup than any of these aquariums. But I do keep a close eye on water parameters, and I never let ammonia and so forth build up as a result. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, it always helps me out to smash like, hit subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And other than that, I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.